right, so as we fade back in, let me go ahead and update the time here as it's probably closer to 7 p.m. and the weather's getting down to probably be about, not quite that cold, maybe about 72 degrees, because I know that really matters in the life of all of the characters tonight. It might for Eric and William that are hanging out in the beautiful old square of Old Burrows, heading to the Gallery of Great Arts. It is an impressive edifice of stone and marble, erected in a time when history and culture still mattered. It's most civilians of the city probably regard it as a dull activity that's reserved for tourists and intellectuals, the smart folk, and that's probably why it's down by the university. It's a 4-story tall building, many different halls and features within. It holds, again, famous works of art, ancient artifacts, probably some fossils and exhibits that are changed out from month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year. And there's probably a selection of the community, and there may have even been reports in the newspaper about attempted thefts, and definitely there are items within this great place that would be worth quite a lot of money in the black market. As you all begin to walk after having seen that boy, do you talk or do you just head specifically to that place? Are you looking over your shoulder? What are William and Eric up to?
I am kind of occasionally like looking over my shoulder or trying to catch like a glimpse in like any sort of reflective surfaces to see if that kid is still following.
Right. As soon as you all begin, as soon as you turn your back, you lose sight of him. You look over the crowd, you don't see him anymore. And again, he was seeming to wait for your next movement, and it seems as soon as you turned your eyes away from him, he just looked away. If you'd like to investigate the scene to see if maybe you spot anything else, or maybe he's hiding, we can definitely do that. Do a little investigate.
Sure, why not? I'll see if there's anything else of interest. I mean, if he doesn't want to get found, he's not getting found, but there might be something else.
Yeah. You got this. I can lend you a hand. Nip him out, maybe. You got one of them help boys?
All right. How about for tags? I've got still the driven to know, acutely perceptive, and dipping into my subversion one, which is oh please, you don't expect me to fall for that, do you?
Right. Absolutely. Still paranoid. That's
Fair
exactly
enough.
why you're looking over your shoulder right now. Perfect.
Good job.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm assuming
Just
your first question is he still here?
Yeah, I was just a little shy of going dynamite on that one.
Mm-hmm. No, you see no trace of him. He's left. Again, it seems like he probably overheard you, and he's not the type of person to hang around after he's been spotted. The fact that you've seen his face is probably disconcerting for him. But you are, again, looking around the general area. So if you have any questions, I would say, about the library, the gallery you're about to head to, the university, the people of the district. You're just kind of looking around this old square. And again, there's a lot of history within this place to begin with. Do you have any questions about the district or any of the buildings or people within?
Got any ideas, Spoon?
For the boy. Well, apparently he's part of the order, or you think he is.
Yeah, I think he delivered my intro letter.
Well, then he's probably pretty agile. Maybe he ducked into a tiny corner, climbed a roof. I don't know.
Yeah, is there any sort of like secret like I don't know if it's even just like a sewer system or anything like that where he could have slipped into?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Almost every district has their cisterns underneath the place for their sewage to flow as it does. He could have easily just found one of the entrances, whether it's through one of the grates that cover the street, or ducking down one of the kind of entrance hatches. There's absolutely tunnels beneath, and these are older. And part of Eric wonders, would they be in that much better shape than the cisterns of the West Slums? It's hard to tell, but that would definitely be one way for him to escape.
I'm kind of over crawling through sewers for a little while, so I'm cool on that.
Yeah, I don't feel like chasing a kid through sewers. That we have to worry about.
I mean, I think he's just spying on us because he doesn't trust us, which fair enough.
Don't trust me? How dare he? What have I ever done? Yes, it was sarcasm. Yes. It's dripping with sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you about that one day. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think as we're walking to this art museum, I'll inform Eric of the adventures of the past.
Yeah. Please do. I was going to ask.
I'll tell him about the first case and finding the kid all butchered and then searching down the killers. That really weird old dude who worked at the crematorium, and then going to the church and then fighting at the church, and then it all being kind of fuzzy, and I'm flying through the air, falling through some trees, and all of a sudden there's a lake.
Did you guys know that you were gonna blow up the city district when you did whatever you did?
No. Not particularly. We had an idea it would be bad, but not here's new beachfront property bad.
Then why'd you do it?
I was bored.
Bored.
Honestly, it just seemed like I didn't have any kind of... You can blame that weird homeless kid and Mike. I didn't have any hand in that. It just kind of appeared.
I see. I guess we should probably check out this museum.
Yeah, mine's well.
Don't know how late they're open, but
Oh,
we'll find out.
Doesn't really matter to us, does it?
Right.
I'd like to try to be legitimate, at least for a little while long.
I'll have an actual map of this the next time we play, but since you're just kind of doing an initial walk around, I'll kind of give you the highlights as you walk into this facility, there's a set of probably 8 or 10 large white stone stairs that lead up to probably about 24 of these carved and curved design, again, very Greek feeling columns. You walk inside, and immediately to your right, there's a place to check your coats. You walk in a bit further, and there's it seems to be kind of just a sitting room, kind of a smoking room, a place to gather. And then you walk into the actual center structure, into the great court. It is big, it is wide. There is a large dome looking up. You can see the banisters of 4 other floors, all of them this polished bronze. The dome itself almost looks like crystal glass interlaced, kind of in a what are those is it Fabergé eggs, kind of having that cross hatch pattern. Within the great court, there are some stairs that lead up to the first floor. To the far end, you can see there's a shop. Seems to be a mixture of things that you would tend to find in a museum, custom scarves, maybe some books about the histories of this place. There's a few other collection shops where you can purchase some polished gems. You can maybe get your own personal scroll. You can buy some unique incense, oils, things like that. Things that you know are created specifically for the tourists that come to visit this city and want to take something home with them. You can see that there's a doorway leading to the right-hand side, to a fairly large hall. Same to the left. To the left hand, you can there's a placard or a sign that lists the names of a variety of halls, exhibits, things to look at. And you can probably even pick up a map and a guide. And again, I will have something for you to actually look at, but it lists a variety of names. You have anything from, and again, from the city, we know that the city exists within a real place, but it's kind of foggy as to where the city takes place. But they have exhibits on ancient Egypt, ancient Greece and Rome. They have exhibits on Earth itself. They have a place called the Rosetta Stone, which seems to be focused on hieroglyphs. They have things about mammals, dinosaurs, art exhibits of a variety of artists, and they have it split up into period or specific artists if they have a lot of art. It is designated, each hall or each room seems to be designated with a specific theme in mind. Some of them much larger than the others, spanning 3 or 4 room widths across, whereas other ones are quite small and reserved. There's a trickling of people in here. There's probably only about an hour or so before this place begins to shut down. There's probably a few tourists. You can tell by the way they're dressed. They're happy to see everything. They seem to have enjoyed their experience here. There's a few workers that are going around beginning to clean the area, pick up from the few people that were there. You can see some individuals that look like they might be security, here to keep an eye on things. And a few more that are maybe staffing, of course, the shops, maybe a few staffing the desks. They could be historians or other folks that are tasked with either answering questions or taking care of the exhibit, or maybe running the variety of field trips or walk-arounds within the facility. but you two are here. There's not a lot of people here. Most of them, again, seem to be workers. What would you like to do?
You mentioned the Rosetta Stone and relating to hieroglyphs. I think it's probably not very likely, but I want to check and see if there's anything that seems to relate to the symbol that we've been looking for. Well, that we know where to find it, but I want to get more information on it if I can.
Right. You walk into this large room. It's probably about 15 feet wide from side to side, but it is very long, probably about 100 feet long. On both sides of the walls, they look like sandstone, and they have carvings underneath each. And beneath the carving, or in front of the carving, there's a sheet of glass that runs in front of them, and there's a little placard that stands out kind of in the hallway that will have each one of these hieroglyphs and their meaning written below it. There's a bit of a historical study on the Rosetta Stone, how it has been used to decipher this, where it was located, who found it, all of those details. It all seems very Egyptian in nature. As far as looking for your things, and again, from the information that you had gathered from the books, this was not an Egyptian symbol. They aren't able to tie it back, at least those books were not able to tie it back to a specific tribe or a specific type of people. They, again, assume that it's a religion, but they've never been able to track down other standing stones that are like it. These three, the three that they found in the cavern, seem to be the only ones that have ever been located. You know that things are obviously brought in from the outside world, and at some point the conversation's probably been had. So at least in this hall, it doesn't seem like there's anything there. If you were to take a guess where you might have the best idea, it probably would be in the city historical location. It's on the 3rd floor. You have an idea that's probably where the pottery and everything's going to be. It's, again, I don't have the proper name for it, but it's kind of the archaeology exhibit for the early ancient period of time.
Well, that's worth a look.
Yeah, might as well.
Right. Kind of head up the stairs, and there are many, many halls, many, many rooms that you pass by. Some of them might be quite exciting. As you get to the upper floors, you can see that the rooms seem to be broken up by time. You kind of have the medieval times, then you have the 300 to 1100 AD, going back even all the way up to kind of to present, new technological advances, but it also goes backwards. You see one that's kind of marked 800 BC to 43 AD, and then another that is just marked 10,000 to 800 BC. This is the true ancient of ancient items. It's a smaller room, maybe about probably a 15 by 15 structure, maybe a bit longer than it is wide. Most of the exhibits seem to hold stonecraft of one type or another, bowls, pottery. There is some old ancient tools. And there's probably a series of plaques, records, ancient historical points throughout the room. So I'd say go ahead and do another investigate as you're in this room to see what this room might be able to offer.
Oh boy. I don't have anything for this. Taylor is bad at investigating now.
All right. I'll see what I can put together here.
You got it. You can do it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at tags here.
Right.
Bear with me just a minute. All right. How about driven to know, because that's kind of the whole thing. Crowd pleaser, trying to impress and get some information on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and elaborate planner. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Paranoia still in effect or no?
I wouldn't say at this point. No, you're in a safer place.
Okay. I was going to see if I had any weaknesses that I wanted to throw in on this, but none of them really make sense. So, just straight up investigate roll it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Awesome.
alright.
Is that dynamite time?
Close. Not 12. 1 point away.
Ah.
So, as you look around this room, what are your questions?
Are there any like references? I don't think that I'm going to see any like images of the thing that we're looking for, but are there any like references, like any images that seem close to what we're looking for that I can kind of get some?
There is near a set, kind of on the far side of the room, there is a small brown bowl. It looks like a cup, and a couple tools, one looking like maybe a little hammer, another could be a knife of some sorts. Above it is a black and white picture that looks like someone has drawn it, so it's more of a drawing than a photograph, that shows a cave with these 3 standing stones in it. You can see again, it's hard to tell with this, but they look quite large, standing 8 to 10 feet tall, about 2 or 3 feet wide. They are in a semicircle kind of formation, and you can just see the cave itself. It looks like a fairly large room. It's hard to tell how much is artistic embellishment, because whoever drew this probably wasn't there or never really saw it. It's just basing it off of stories they've heard of. But as far as an area, you can definitely see what appears to be the scene. And you don't see the specific symbol on the drawings. You just see a cave with the 3 standing stones. So it seems, again, that's the direction you would go to as far as tying this to what you already know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, do we know where this cave is supposed to be, or where it used to be? I should say.
Right. Yeah. The writing in here, and William, this makes sense to you a lot. The location seems to be the exact same location of the church that you'd gone into the basement of and seen that massive drawing on the floor. The church, is all but destroyed when the large giant green beast stood from it. It seems
boy.
that church had been placed above this cave, whether on purpose or again called by the power that was beneath. Where the lake was formed is where this cave exists.
Great. It's under the lake. Middle of the lake. Cool. Right on.
Ugh.
Well, swimming in that lake is totally an option.
And again, I guess I have to ask, that Talia told you that the artifact was destroyed. Again, you can take that as you want, but she did make it seem like someone went, found it, took it to this man, and he had it destroyed and placed within the body. So, are you worried about the location for the chance that there might be more information there? Or are you trying to... What's tying you to the location? What interests you in the location of the Standing Stone?
Well, kind of two things. The first is that I don't trust the order.
Right.
And then the second is that I'm hoping that even if that stuff is gone, there might be more information.
Right.
Yep, pretty much that. I don't trust the order or Talia.
Right, and I think for Eric, William just told you about the case. You would have heard about that church. And now, and let me actually give you the name of that church again. Sorry, I have to go back in to my old notes here. Let's see. Unless William happens to remember the name of the church.
Hold on.
Let's see. It was the Church of Santa Teresa de Avila.
Yeah, there's no way I would have. I don't think I even missed that down.
Yeah, located on the far ends of Cross End.
I do remember that there were church schematics.
Indeed.
And
The counselor had it.
counselor had it. There was Christina and Proximo.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could go back and see the counselor.
Oh
We
yeah,
have old blueprints
everything
and everything
is...
for it.
For Eric, there's so much information being flooded into his poor mind in the past
Really?
couple hours. Yeah. But yeah, where the lake was formed, this cave did exist. And apparently this large, monstrous... Did William describe the beast that they fought?
Giant, covered in trees.
Right.
Evil looking. Yeah.
He was a massive... He was, yeah, just...
Forest guard type thing.
It's as big as a church's main hall, made of dense foliage, running rivers and creaking roots. It has eyes like two turbid green ponds in which mesmerizing colorful light flows. The ruckus of wild beasts echoes from deep inside it, along with some deeper unearthly growl. Antlers as large and complex as tree branches grow out of its topside. It can grow protrusions to serve as arms if necessary, but mostly it'll just move through things and swallow them whole.
Ugh.
Now it's a river or a lake.
Do not like.
Right. You still have another question, though.
Is there anything about like the name of a person who discovered this cave?
That is a very good question. Who was the historian or archaeologist that discovered it? The discovery itself of the cave seems to go back about a good 50 years. It may have been hinted at before, but as far as like an actual scientist, someone with the intelligence to understand what they're looking for, able to go down there and document it, it was about 50 years ago. His name was Wolfram Lippert. Go ahead and post that in there. He's probably the one his name is attributed to probably the art and then also the information and his little rundown. Practically nothing is known of the social organization or religious beliefs of the people who erected these stones. There's not even a trace of their language, and he might even reference maybe some additional writing on the wall kind of things. They know that they were able to grow wheat and grow food, farm, make pottery, stone tools, even jewelry. It seems that while these standing stones are unique, there are many other standing stones throughout the world, some even dating back 6,000-7,000 years ago, though that may not be generally accepted throughout the historian community. There's a lot to learn about this strange place, very alien in nature, and you can tell that this is a historian trying to describe what they think these tools are, though looking at it, you could just come up with just about anything. Yeah, sure, that could be a hammer, or that could be something that's used to scrape out dirt. It could be more of a shovel. It could be a weapon. It's hard to tell what it is exactly. But it does seem that for this place, there was a strange presence. It just felt powerful. There's probably been a lot of investigation into who made these standing stones, and even using the Rosetta Stone downstairs, they haven't been able to tie this to a specific type of people. And you saw from the many halls and exhibits walking up here, they have just about every other type of tribe, people, area, culture exhibited in one way or another.
So I guess we've got a couple more leads to look into, possibly.
Oh boy, an amalgamation of cultures. Just what we need to search through.
Yeah, and again, what you do notice, while he does reference their language, you haven't seen anything that would... You haven't seen an exhibit or anything in the book about that. You've just really seen about these standing stones, and again, that it's someone made it and they don't know who. This is the first time you're seeing someone reference that at least someone has found, or again, he is embellishing on his own discovery something they consider language of these people.
Do we think that like the lack of any reference to language is like intentional, or it's just so old that they simply don't know?
It is a bit hard. It's a bit hard to tell. It's quite possible that, again, he is making this up to make his own historical writings a bit more... It's like the unknown secret that only he knows. You can kind of feel the theatrics of it all.
Gotcha.
The other part of it, if you were to find something, the writing of a group of people that no one else has ever heard of, that you have no way of proving that you actually that it is of these people, that is not something you just scribbled in a mad fit, it would be hard to display something like that. It loses its sense. Like, everybody likes to tie, especially in a museum, it needs to be tied to history, it needs to be tied to fact. Having something unknown, and especially if you're going to have something like the Rosetta Stone downstairs, you can't have this vague, we don't know what language it is, because there's not a lot of unknown languages out there. So it's absolutely possible there might be more to find out about this if you find the right person to ask. But to the general public, and to, it seems, most historians, it's just a subject that people tend to avoid.
I'm thinking we might want to find this Wolfram, or if he's not around anymore, maybe some descendant of his.
Chasing dead languages. What I wanted to do with my weekend.
Aren't you a history teacher? You should be loving this.
History's taught in the classroom, not out exploring. But I suppose so. It's always nice to learn.
Yeah, we're going to be learning it in real time, apparently.
Are there any kind of has anybody copied down the Rosetta Stone and put it on paper for people to take?
You could probably find a there's probably something in the gift shop for you to buy. It's, again, kind of a touristy version of it, like, take home your own stone. It's, yeah, I think what they have is just like small chunks of rock that it's clearly someone just pressed it, like, it's not actually carved, someone just pressed the various carvings into it, and it's not the full stone either, but
Just a general basis for languages.
right, I mean, I would say
Something
you
to leave
probably
you.
have, I don't know if you've seen the Rosetta Stone lately, but it's kind of broken up into 3 sections, so they probably at least have the top point, the larger font, as it were, have that available. The amount, and again, you can tell by how long that, or how large that exhibit is, having something to easily carry that has every single hieroglyph on it, you might as well just be carrying the Rosetta Stone at that point. There's just so much information in this hall.
I don't want all the information. I just want a synopsis of the stuff so I can have some kind of reference later.
Right. So you know that you can definitely get something from the gift shop that references what it is, what it does, and maybe a do-it-yourself kind of, why don't you use this to transcribe, these 3 hieroglyphs, a little fun thing for the kids.
Rosetta Stone decoder ring.
Right.
Oh yeah, because that's okay. Sure, I'll take one. Why not? Yeah, let's do it. It's okay.
Right. It's just
something to.
But it is, yeah. The one thing Yeah, the Rosetta Stone itself, it is in there. It is displayed within that hall, and again, they've increased the font across all the sandstone on the back. It is encased in thick glass. It's kind of up on a pedestal, so you don't have to lean down to look at it. And
Sounds good to me.
yeah, you've probably seen it in books and all of that before.
All right, I can live with that.
Awesome. So as Eric and William begin to leave, Georgie and Willow, were you all heading back home? Were you planning to meet back with the crew?
Is this the same night still?
It is. It's about 7 p.m. It is starting to get later. And by this point, it's probably closer to, well, we'll say you were leaving the bar around 7.
Okay. We will be heading back, but I'll probably be sitting outside after Willow gets tucked in or whatever.
Right.
In the courtyard out front. Just need a little alone time to sort out my thoughts.
Right. What are Georgie's thoughts? Willow, she needs some sleep, and she knows work is tomorrow, and it's been a long day. So she just, again, says thanks and goes up to your room. You spend some time amongst the flowers and the trees, just the green, feeling close to nature. And what's going on in Georgie's mind tonight? You've got a lot of information provided to you over the past few days, and now you have this secret that you have to keep for yourself. You know more about Willow than anyone. You have seen those nightmares, and you have felt that seed of power that grows within her. You know how useful that could be. Also how dangerous that could be.
It's a lot of I'm in over my head. She kind of always knew that taking on this responsibility was a matter of pride, and that it was like she was being challenged that she couldn't do it, so she did it, and now she's like, shit. Now I actually gotta do it, and it's not. It sucks. But I guess having somebody like this kind of like puts things into perspective for her, because she has been pretty selfish for most of her life.
Right.
Partially out of necessity, but also it's just there was not really any other option.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, now she just would like to know more before she divulges any information about said child. And it's, well, I guess like whatever power they hold between the mother and child. But that there's any, what do you call it, importance placed on the child in regards to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The grass is probably curling in like weird directions at the moment. It's like, well, that's a new breed, I guess.
Does Georgie trust anyone within the crew? Does Georgie trust the Order?
She doesn't know much about it, so you can't say that she really does. As so much as the crew. I mean, she's trusted them thus far. And I guess until they really give her reason to doubt their capabilities or motives, she'll stay vigilant, but she's still cautious, I should say.
Right.
Like, she knows that there may be more to them, but for the job at hand, I guess just trusting them is enough for what they have to do.
Right. All right. Let's get a character question in here as you're kind of pondering your thoughts, seeing what the possibilities are. What is Georgie's greatest fear?
Failure. Complete, utter ruin and failure.
What instilled such pride within her? Because we know about Georgie. She was orphaned at an age so young she doesn't even remember being orphaned. And that's just the place she knew. Being on her own, always keeping an eye on the exit, bettering herself, and realizing that the title of orphan, that's not who she's going to be known as. She's going to make her name for herself.
Yeah. Because she's built everything from grains of sand, so it's... If she fears that if she lets up for 1 second, it'll just crumble. And that's like... She won't let go of her tailoring, and she won't let go of this new skill, just because it could just all collapse.
Right.
And she doesn't think she can handle it mentally, if it does.
Right. There's one person out there that's not Georgie that she wants to impress in some way, and it may not be a person with a name. Who are they?
Wait, come again?
So there's still someone, and again, it may not be someone with a name that Georgie wants to impress. Again, the failure is primarily self-driven, but there's still someone out there that part of her failure is tied to not wanting to... Basically, you want to impress them. Could be something that you recently met, someone from your past, or a vague future or past someone.
I want to say, ironically, it's her boss. As much as she gives him a lot of flack, the fact that he still won't kind of give her the title,
right,
and let her have the name, like she's making this store, but he just won't acknowledge it, and it is what's still keeping her at the Huntsman despite her growing powers. Because he could make or break her pride. So, was it Horace?
Right, Horace. Horace Pennington. The man that's never there.
But
so
reaping the benefits of my
yeah.
hard work.
Yep. Awesome. So as Georgie kind of ponders her thoughts, William, were you just trying to get home, or was there something else you were trying to do?
I mean,
Or not
Not
William.
really.
I'm sorry. Sorry, William. Mike.
I don't know, man.
Mike, now that you're in the ethnic borough, you escaped from the cops. You know the task at hand to get your glasses fixed, or at least get in contact with someone who might be able to fix them. Were you trying to just get home, or was there something else you were trying to do?
Well, my plan is to get William to help. But it'd probably be better to go home first.
Right. So there was probably a conversation. Again, you always plan to meet. There's a lot of information to divulge here. So I think when we start, we'll decide where you're meeting, what that place is, and we'll kind of start off on that conversation when we come back next week. So we'll leave the night passing on Wednesday, a beautiful night. Sounds of kids playing in the streets, dogs barking. William and Eric walking through Old Square with, again, so much information, names, details that they just gathered about something that they didn't even know of yesterday. There's being in the old boroughs, you might even take a glance out to the west, knowing that the slums, do we trust Talia to deal with it? Do we not? We obviously have bigger fish to fry at the moment. Everyone's pondering their own thoughts as the city just continues to move forward. People keep living. Strange people keep doing strange things. And the mist continues to cause everyone to be a bit hazy. So as we wrap up tonight, take a look, see if there's anyone you feel has gotten a bit closer to you. Get a help point for them. If they put a flower behind your ear and you feel like it's a bit creepy and you want to put a hurt point, that's completely fine as well.
Hey, don't give him ideas.
Yeah,
That was a
super
help
Mike.
point, not a
Super
hurt.
It
creepy,
did
Mike.
help the smell. It did help
Yeah,
the smell.
see?
Absolutely. Perfect. Well,
If somebody told you that they blew up a whole city district because they were bored, maybe put a hurt point on them.
maybe so. That could definitely be
Well,
disturbing.
Okay, fair enough. It wasn't boredom, but close enough.
Mike was bored. I was just following orders.
I'm the one who did it. You had nothing to do with it.
Now listen,
Except
that's exactly,
for poking the bear.
Right.
that's
and
exactly
getting
what's
thrown
gonna
into the
happen in
tree.
the story that Eric knows, because I told him my side and I did nothing wrong, and you guys did it all.
Exactly. So, who's the one to blame? Me. So you just butt out.
And it all seems to be leading right back to where it all began, as all good stories should. So
In the
that's-
hobbit hole.
Indeed. Awesome. That's where I will wrap up the video. As always, thank you all for playing. We learned so much more today. I will do my best to get some good notes in here for you. But we will all catch you next week. Yeah, and anybody out there watching, we hope to see you then. So thanks, everybody, and we will catch you next time. Take care.